This is PrepTest 123, Section 4, Passage 3. It's about copyright law and the World Wide Web. Specifically, whether linking to someone else's content counts as infringement. The difficulty of the reading is pretty low, but that is actually the danger here. The author's position is so obvious that students stop paying attention to how the argument actually works. And then the questions punish them for it. This is a law passage making a one-sided argument. The author thinks strengthening copyright law to go after web linking is a mistake. And that is the main point, and nothing here pushes back on it. The author builds the actual case on one analogy. And if you lock onto that analogy, the questions are pretty easy. But if you glaze over it, you're going to be guessing. The opening lines here set up a fight between two camps. Intellectual property owners want stronger copyright protection. That's it. In contrast, web users want the web to stay open. Now, this is all just background. Read it at a pretty normal speed. But then something makes the web legally tricky. In print, you've got to cite a source and the reader has to go track it down. But on the web, you're clicking, you're there. And that instant access is what makes people nervous about copyright. And the author frames the legal question directly. If B links to A's document, is B committing infringement? This section matters, but they're just asking the question, not answering yet, so you want to keep moving. But then the author answers that question with an analogy about a telephone answering machine. When A puts a document on the web, it's like recording a message outgoing for anyone who calls. So person A is choosing to make it available. When person B creates a link, that's like giving out A's phone number. Person B is not copying the message. B is just telling people where to find it. Now watch out for the word controls here because it's doing all the heavy lifting. The author's whole argument turns on one claim. A is the one who controls access because A put the document out there. B just pointed to it. So linking is not the same as distributing. And that distinction is the core of the entire passage. Then comes the conclusion in line 42 later in the passage. Creating a link is not the same as making or distributing a copy. Everything before this sentence builds up to it, everything after it defends it. Then the final section does two things. First, the author says technical solutions already exist. Person A can put a password on the page, the same way you get an unlisted phone number. And second, those technical fixes hurt the web's openness a little bit, but changing copyright law would hurt it a lot more. So don't change the law. That's where the passage ultimately lands. Now, the author's stance here is pretty straightforward. Linking is not infringement, and tightening copyright law would damage the web as a public forum. Now, here is where students go wrong. The opening presents the intellectual property owner's concern, and it sounds pretty reasonable, and students give that side more weight than the author does. But look at the passage again. After the setup, every single line argues against the property owner's position. There is no counter-argument, there's no concession. If you treat this like a balanced discussion between two legitimate sides, you're going to pick the wrong answer on main point and author's attitude questions. Then before you get to the questions, make sure you know three things. First, who controls the distribution of a document on the web according to the author? Second, what exactly is the telephone analogy supposed to prove? And third, why does the author say technical solutions are better than legal ones? Now, the key move you want to know here is that one analogy does all the work. Web links equal phone numbers, not copies. The hardest questions in this set will test whether you know what that analogy proves, and whether you caught that the author treats it as the end of the argument, not the beginning of the debate.